everyone, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today it's going to be a double review because we have two things we're going to be taking a look at. These were two new figures I required yesterday, at least in the point of making this video. So these ones I found at my local Walmart, part of the new waves of all these Jurassic figures that are starting to hit stores now. I think both Walmarts and Targets. And yeah, there are a lot, so hopefully I can work my way up on trying to collect them all. So let's get into the review. Today we're going to be taking a look at two dinosaurs, part of the Dino Trackers assortment. So we got the Jurassic World Dino Trackers Strike Attack, Atrociraptor, and Prestosuchus. So I'm really excited to take a look at these. I've already completed the first wave of Strike Attacks. These are my first two of the Wave 2 of Strike Attack figures. I'm just looking for the Dilophosaurus and the Gigant Spinosaurus. And yeah, super excited to finally have these. Obviously, only one of these is actually a dinosaur, and that's the Atrociraptor, whereas this one is technically not a dinosaur, but a reptile. So, but we'll get into those as soon as we get into it. So, we'll take a look at the packaging first. So here for the Prestosuchus, it's your normal typical Dino Trackers packaging. You know, the blue and beta, you know, all the various logos and titles. And the back, it says it's part of the water environment, or I assume probably the shore, because not everything here is really going to be able to swim anyway, but I can definitely see them being around like the shoreline and rivers and whatnot. So it is pretty cool. And then on both sides, you just got the Jurassic World and the Dino Trackers logo. On the back, it shows you a cool little action feature for the toy itself. It says it got a massive chomp, facts up information, and the others in the assortment. And for the Atrociraptor here, this one I'm actually really excited about because it's a brand new Atrociraptor sculpt, and it makes it stand out from Mattel's previous ones. So basically, same packaging here, except this one's part of the jungle environment. So this is a jungle Atrociraptor. But very cool looking overall. And here it is on the back, head strike action, and the others in the assortment. So really cool. Let's go ahead and take these two figures out. Got my trusty baby scissors here again. They're pretty easy, just two little snips. And as you can see, the Atrociraptor wanted to get out. So here we have our Prestosuchus and a Atrociraptor out of the packaging, and they look really cool. Let me just fix my camera here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and probably take a look at the Atrociraptor first, since it's not necessarily a new sculpt or a brand new species, but it is something very cool to talk about. So here is our new Atrociraptor, and there's actually a lot of differences here that I'm spotting when compared to the other ones, which we will get to comparisons later on. But overall, a very nice looking Atrociraptor figure. I'm a huge fan of the Atrociraptors seen in Dominion, and I really hope we see at least the main four from Dominion again in the future, along with Soyana Santos. I feel like their story still needs to be told, and it was only just barely reaching the surface in that movie. So, taking a look at this figure here, really nicely done. I love the sculpt work, the entire pose and everything. The entire figure just looks really nice. We'll take a closer look here at the head. Very cool looking, very menacing. That's definitely a unique raptor head for sure. It's definitely different from your Pyroraptors and your Velociraptors. But as you can see here at the top of the head, lots of nice little bumps sculpted on here, which actually feel really nice. Really cool looking. And here with the deep boxy looking head here, eyes are nicely sculpted. Same with the underside of the jaw, nice sculpted work, and then nice little spike, little bumps here at the chin area. Opening the mouth here, teeth are nicely sculpted. And here at the back, this is where we get some of the newer stuff. So you got normal, you know, crease and line work going around the neck here, and some nice little scale detail. Then we got a couple little bumps of scales or spikes or whatever popping through the neck here, which is very interesting. And the cool thing, you got some quills on the top of here. So this is like very similar to the male velociraptors from Jurassic Park 3 with the cool little quills. Probably my favorite raptor design in the entire franchise, to be honest. And it's really cool how they applied that to an Atrociraptor, which is really cool. So it's almost like they're giving the Atrociraptors a little bit of feathering, but in a classic Jurassic type of way. You know, it's not fully feathered like a Pyroraptor, but really cool because it's got the little quills on the back. And it's actually pretty much, you know, reminds me of it being an alpha, you know. So in another sense, I would definitely use this Atrociraptor as the alpha Atrociraptor because it's a little bit different than the other individuals, and plus it's got the quills, so it makes it stand out and make a great leader or alpha, whatever, which will be really cool for picture taking and movies and whatnot. So really cool. And moving on to the body here, nice amount of sculpted detail. The sculpt work on the body here are really nice. Mattel does a really great job. The entire underside is a little bit more smooth, but it does have some nice line texture for the underside, which pretty much continues all the way down to the tip of the tail. And the entire top of the head is just some nice scale work, which actually feels very realistic when you touch it, even though it's not rubber. And you got a little bit more of the larger scoots or scales that just kind of pop up here and there, which is really, really nice. And the arms, look at the arms. The arms are nicely sculpted. Look at that. If you catch it in the right sunlight and the shading, it pops really well. And then the hands are nice as well. Classic raptor hands. They're facing kind of inwards or to the side. Kind of follow that scientific accuracy look from like the movie. And then moving on to the legs. The legs feel a bit different in my opinion. They feel a lot more sharper and more sculpted than the previous ones. We'll take a look at that when we do comparisons. But here are the feet. Feet are nicely sculpted. Very classic Jurassic-like with the famous raptor feet. Same with the dew claw there. The underside's nicely sculpted. So really nice looking sculpt work on the feet right here, and this nice and the nice little scoops. Can't speak today. Nice little scoots that run up each toe and a little bit up the leg there. A nice muscle definition throughout the entire body, so very muscular in a sense. You can definitely tell like the muscles will be stretching and moving underneath the skin as this thing moves. Nice little knee sculpt work right there. And then moving on to the backside here to the tail, just some nice scale sculpt work throughout the entire thing. So Mattel does a really nice job with their scale work on their dinosaurs. And you got a little bit more of the spiky scoots here on the tip of the tail, which is very different from their previous Atrociraptor versions. So really cool. I really do like that. And then here is the scan code for this. Overall, the sculpt work is amazing on this one. Articulation wise, it's very basic for these ones. The jaw here can open and close. Very simple. And the arms here can pivot in and out, and they can move 360. So a nice range of movement there. And the legs here can move basically full 360 all the way around. So nice range of movement, and they can pivot in and out as well. So nice there. And I think the tail can even rotate, but obviously we don't really use that a whole lot because it kind of breaks up the sculpt. And that's really it for articulation. Color wise, I really do like the colors on this Atrociraptor. They're very cool looking, very jungle-like, I would say. They match a jungle environment very well with the greens and the bright yellows and whatnot. Yeah, you can definitely tell this thing belongs in the jungle, you know, especially if you kind of hold it up against like my background here. So it would blend in very well. I like the darker colors around the eyes here. They look really nice. Nice little browns and a little bit of white speckling around there with an orange eye. Makes it pop. And then you got like a dark brownish purplish color for like the underside of the jaw and a little bit on the neck. So it looks like it's only highlighting the throat, which kind of makes it stand out. It makes it look like this could be a male because it has the more color around the throat, whereas the females probably wouldn't have that. This one would pretty much be like the alpha, you know, male Atrociraptor. So it's really cool looking. Action feature wise, you just got a little button right here that if you just press it, just makes the head go up and down. So this is basically the same thing that the Herrerasaurus had for this line, which is surprising that the jaw doesn't even work with it. It's just its own little articulated joint. And by the way, the inside of the mouth is nicely painted with the gums and the tongue and the teeth. Would have been nice for it to paint like on the inside right there and on the roof of the mouth, but that's all right. But other than that, you know, really nice little action feature right there. Let's get on to our new species here, the Prestosuchus. So this is a brand new species introduced into the Mattel line. This one I believe is a Rheasuchian. I believe that's how you say it. These ones, like, you know, include your groups like Prestosuchus and Saurosuchus, you know, pretty much distant relatives or ancestors of crocodilians, which you can definitely tell just the way it looks, definitely crocodile-like. And this one actually looks really nice. I am really impressed with this one. It looks very classic Jurassic in my opinion, because it's just a four-legged croc dino looking thing that you could just see chasing people in like a dock area, and just trying to chase people. So kind of reminiscent to the Atrociraptor from the Primeval show, which is really cool. Detail wise, we'll start off with the head here. A really menacing looking head here. This will be a terrifying animal to experience, you know, when you're by yourself, like on an island or something, or just to come across. But really nice detail, you know, sculpt work all the way around. It's very crocodilian-like, which is really cool. Like all the larger scale work and all these little bumps on the snout and on the eye ridge here. Looks really nice. And the cool, you know, teeth right here are nicely sculpted and they interlock perfectly, much like modern day crocodilians. And then the jaw here, I really love the detail work on the jaw. It looks very crocodilian-like with the large scales right here that are just kind of placed in a pebble-like fashion. And then here on the inside of the mouth, you got some nice detail for the tongue, very glossy too to make it look wet, and just some overall nice detail. Moving on to the neck here, you got some nice little folds of skin here, and a nice array of scales basically going throughout the entire sculpt right here. So really nicely done, especially here on the legs, which are looking awesome. Nice muscle definition as well. And you got some larger scoots or bumps spread out throughout the entire body, which is looking really nice. Here on the hands too are nicely sculpted with some nice little scale work here on the arms. So looking really nice. And the complete underside is, again, very crocodilian-like. Look at all those scales that they have on the underside. So kind of similar to what the Edaphosaurus had for this line. You can definitely tell this thing is a relative of the crocodiles, I guess you could say, even though it's not necessarily a full-on crocodile. So really cool looking. I love this sculpt work. Mattel is doing an excellent job with their sculpts these days. I mean, they've always had, but I think they're just improving as the years go on. And now a very unique feature on this Prestosuchus is this cool little sail, which is not entirely accurate to the real animal in real life, but it does give it like a cool genetic modification that's been added to this animal for a Jurassic Park type thing to make it stand out and more scarier, you know, to appeal to guests and whatnot, which is really cool. It's a very classic Jurassic looking design right here, you know, the crocodilian type of animal with a cool little sail on its back. So it's very aquatic looking. I can definitely see this thing swimming in the water and terrorizing people who go in it, which the sail is nicely sculpted as well, with some nice little line textures throughout. It's even got a sail on the underside of it. It's almost like a paddle looking tail, which ends here on the back side. And then some nice little sculpted scale work here on the tail with some larger bumps here and there, which actually feel really nice when you rub your finger against it. It feels really realistic, very reptilian. And you got some more of that nice sculpt work on the underside of the tail. And here are the feet as well, which are nicely sculpted. Nice muscle definition. And yeah, the sculpt work on this Prestosuchus is really nice. Proportions are really nice as well. The tail probably could have been a bit longer, but for what it is, I think it works. The head is pretty massive on this one. It's like its main weapon of choice, which technically it is. Which I think the head in real life would have been a bit smaller, but it works, like I said. I'm not going to complain about it too much. The head really reminds me of the actual Prestosuchus skeletal mount from a museum. I don't know what museum it's from, but I can go ahead and flash a picture if I can of what it looks like. So yeah, as you can see, it does have some resemblance just the way their faces look, which is really cool. The colors, I really do like the colors. It's very water or aquatic-like. What's like this gray and some lighter teal blue stripes on it, and a red-looking face. So it makes the face stand out with a lighter white tone for the underneath, which would have been nice for it to continue, but I think it works. It's fine, and the orange eye makes it stand out. And then the teeth are nicely painted in like this yellowish color with the inside of the mouth with a nice fleshy red color. So the paint job is really nice on this one. And yeah, there's really nothing much else to say about it. It's really nice. I really like it. Highly recommend it if you guys can find this. And then here's the scan code for that as well. Articulation wise, you got a hinge here at the arm, which can rotate 360 and can pivot in and out, so nice range of motion there. The hind legs here can move 360 for the most part, and I believe they can also pivot in and out, so nice range of motion. And I don't think that, oh yeah, the tail can rotate. It didn't look like it at first, but it can, so there's that. And everything else is due to the action feature, which there's a large button right here that if you press it, just makes the mouth open and close in a nice little chomping fashion. So I think it works for this type of species. You know, it's always gonna be using its mouth to catch prey and whatnot, and hiss at opponents, which is really cool. I really do like the action feature a lot on this one. Nice wide bite, really reminds me of the Lincolnops figure from the original Jurassic Park toys from Kenner, just the way its mouth moves open wide like that. So really cool. So for comparisons, here it is next to a human figure. So here we got the 93 Classic Alan Grant, and they scale very nicely together. I think it's pretty much fairly accurate to the real thing. The Atrociraptors seem nicely sized up well compared to a human, based on what we saw in the movie. And the Prestosuchus, I think, is a pretty good size, I would think, for the real animal. So I think it's really nice there. And for the comparisons for the Prestosuchus by itself, here we have it next to the Mattel Prestosuchus, which is in the same family group as Prestosuchus. And I have the Safari Ltd Prestosuchus. So this is more like a representation of what the Prestosuchus would have looked like in real life. So as you can see here, you know, the Prestosuchus and the Prestosuchus here from Mattel, they're very similar. I'm surprised to see the Prestosuchus being a bit bigger than the Prestosuchus, which I think is actually accurate. I believe this one is a bit larger in size when compared to the Prestosuchus here. But they look really nice together, nice four-legged crocodilian looking animals to terrorize your guests at the park. I really do like the colors on this Prestosuchus, and then here it is with the colors of this one, which I really do like this one as well. Definitely the Prestosuchus wins in terms of, you know, detail for sure. The detail on the Prestosuchus isn't as sharp or defined as it is on here, but they both have similar action features. Prestosuchus, you just move its tail and it opens its mouth, and this one just has a button, which is, I think, is a bit more simpler, but it's really cool to see these two together. And then here it is next to the Safari Prestosuchus, which obviously this one is a better representation of what it looked like in real life. As you can see right here, very crocodilian-like, even though it's not necessarily a full-on crocodile, but I think it works pretty well. Like, this is the scientifically accurate one, and then once they got DNA from it, Jurassic Park scientists managed to bring it back, but they gave it a few modifications, such as, you know, making it more scarier and adding in a cool little sail to make it different from a Prestosuchus. So I think it's really cool to see these two together to kind of make some cool, you know, little comparisons. And finally, last but not least, here we have the new Dino Trackers Atrociraptor compared with all of the other Atrociraptors we've gotten from Mattel since last year. And there's already 6 of them. That's crazy. And I think I have them all now until they make more. But this whole setup here looks really cool. We got a pretty nice pack of Atrociraptors. You know, we got the main four here from Dominion. These are the Soyona Santos's Atrociraptors: Pantera, Tiger, Ghost, and Red. And here we got the another Dino Tracker's Atrociraptor, and part of the that came with the one mercenary in that truck pack. So this is technically a desert Atrociraptor, and then we got a jungle Atrociraptor. So essentially, all of these five right here are basically, you know, the vibe they set out are they're trained Atrociraptors. You know, they work with humans and whatnot. I think this one right here is technically just a, you know, generic wild Atrociraptor. This is something you just see in the wild jungles, you know, considering, you know, how different and cool it looks, you know, with the cool quills and everything. But I still think it marks for a cool alpha Atrociraptor, you know, taking control of a huge pack like this. But really, really cool. And obviously, Tiger here has almost the exact same sculpt work as this green one here. You know, as we can see, taking a look at the head, if it'll focus, they're very similar. Obviously, this one has quills and a little bit more bumps on the back of the head, and this one does not. And a little bit more bumps here on the body, and this one does not as well. And then there are bumps on the tip of the tails, or the back of the tail, and this one does not either. So very different to see how, you know, each individual is, at least with these two. All the Atrociraptors we've gotten so far are all like this type of design, and then all of a sudden Mattel releases this one that's slightly different. So this one makes for a unique one, and I guess a pretty good wild Atrociraptor, you know, not one that's bred or tamed or anything like that. And I think the legs are slightly detailed on the green one than on the previous ones, which is very interesting. So yeah, interesting to compare all these differences between all these Atrociraptors. But either way, this is a pretty cool looking pack right here. And I can't wait to get more, to be honest, depending on what colors they are and you know, anything else like that. But considering that Mattel is staying with the whole dinosaurs being part of environment type things, next year with their Epic Evolution line, I guarantee we could be seeing some more Atrociraptors later down the line. Alright everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. I do apologize for how long this video is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty long, but you know what? There's so much to talk about with these figures. It's nice to go in depth and basically say, you know, what you think about every little design and detail that each figure has based on what Mattel has done. And I think it's a lot of fun to talk about it and seeing all different people's reviews and opinions on them. So again, I apologize for how long this video is, and yeah, there's just a lot to talk about with these figures, and plus it becomes even longer when you have two different figures to open up at the same time. So overall, my final thoughts, I really do like these two. I love the brand new Atrociraptor with the cool looking quills. I love this new Prestosuchus. It's a nice new species to add to the collection, and yeah, I'm honestly very happy with them. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for these two, which was a lot. So I hope you guys enjoy this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.